This is the ultimate 3-4-3, high pressing, lots of goals, very attacking, over 4 goals a game to be exact, 2 quadruples, 1 in testing, also a treble. This tactic you need to try. If you do enjoy the tactics on this channel, be sure to leave a like, drop a little subscription and hit the notification bell above, but let's get into it and break down this tactic. So then, let's get into it and start breaking it down. So it is obviously going to be the 3 at the back, but we're going to discuss this as we go through it because there was a lot of thinking in why certain roles were deployed in this tactic. And obviously, to start things off, in my opinion, with a system like a 3-4-3, you need to have a sweeper keeper because basically you want him to be obviously coming out, picking up any loose balls, because the fullbacks do get forward. Sometimes the ball is going to get in behind your back line. We have done our best to try and prevent that, but sometimes it does happen. And also, it is still helpful to have a goalkeeper who is comfortable with his feet, obviously, to play to any one of these 3 centre-backs. That is the one real good thing about having a 3 at the back, 5 at the back, whatever you want to say. You've always got a player to pass it to from the goalkeeper. So in my opinion, with that being said, you should opt really for a sweeper keeper. On the right-hand side, we've got a ball-playing defender on defend. Now, obviously, in this scenario, we do want him staying wider because this fullback or wingback in this scenario is going to be pushing forwards a lot. And pretty much having this instruction on is a very simple instruction to apply, but it makes all the difference. It just helps you be a little bit more comfortable when their balls do get played over, especially on the sort of wide areas of the field. In the middle, we've actually gone with a ball-playing defender on cover. Now, this one is up for debate. In my opinion, I would use a cover 100%. Because it's just a little bit deeper than the other 2 centre-backs, and I feel like it's a needed option. But if you haven't got 3 players that can hack playing a ball-playing defender, I would recommend putting a central defender in here and not on the outside. In my opinion, these wide centre-backs here, or ball-playing defenders are told to be wide, really did get involved in the sort of ball-playing side of the game, getting a little bit progressive. So I would recommend, if you can't have all of them as ball-playing defenders, have this one as a central defender. On the left-hand side, it's going to be exactly the same as the right centre-back, another ball-playing defender on defend, on stay wider, exactly the same reasons why he's on them instructions, because simply we need someone to cover the wide areas. Now, going over to the wing-back on the left-hand side, we are going to have a wing-back on support, on stay wider, and the reason why he's on this is very simple really, because he's already going to get further forwards, he's always going to run wide with the ball anyway, being on a supportive duty. And essentially, I did try this the other way around, and what I mean by that is I did try and have the inverted winger on support, the wing-backs on attack, and it simply was not as good. The wingers weren't getting involved nearly as much as what I wanted them to, and the full-backs were being way too sort of attacking, and we were really too vulnerable, to be honest with you. So having them on support is a perfect option. On the right-hand side, it's going to be exactly the same, so that is another wing-back on support, just to clarify, and I would recommend, obviously we are going to go over an attacking variant and a defensive variant as well, but I would recommend sticking to this if you can, because it's a really, really good way of playing with this back 3 here. Now, to the midfield. Now, this is where I really did take a lot of time to test and adapt. This tactic was meant to come out a few days ago, but I wasn't 100% happy with it. And whenever I title a tactic Ultimate, that is me saying this is the best I can get it. Simple as that. So pretty much what we're going to do now is discuss the deep line playmaker, because this role was pretty much guaranteed to be in there. It was just unsure whether I was going to have them pushed up a little bit more or have 2 in these deeper pockets. And I did actually go with the deeper pockets in the end, because in my opinion, it makes this tactic a little bit more of a 3-4-3, because you obviously have your 3, your 4, and then your 3, and it also just makes it a little bit more solid when it comes to defending. So that's a deep line playmaker on support, simply on tackle harder. And next to him, this was the real position, which it could have been several, but I actually opted for a volante on support, on get further forwards, and tackle harder. Now, I did try this on attack, and for me it was a little bit too much, so I would opt to have that supportive role on 100%. For some reason, you can't play a volante. The other position I did somewhat consider was going to be a register. Now, in my opinion, both of these would work. You could probably always possibly get away with a Roman playmaker as well, but in my opinion, if you can do it, if you have got one, a volante is perfect, because you can obviously tell them to get further forwards. They are still going to be back as well doing some of defensive duty, and these 2 just work really well together. The DLP and the volante work incredible. Going over to the front 3, we've got an inverted winger on the left-hand side, on attack, on shoot more often and sit narrower. Now, this is where it comes down to your individual save. Now, if you've got wingers that have got absolutely shocking finishing, so say you've got a winger who's absolutely rapid, but has got 6 finishing, 7 finishing, obviously take shoot more often off because he's not going to hit the back of the net. And on the right-hand side, the exact same applies. It is simply down to the winger you have. So what I would personally do, if you have got a winger who is really quick but can't finish, I'll take shoot more often off, but possibly add cross more often. Make him more of a supportive winger instead of a sort of goal-scoring winger who creates chances sometimes, but also has a real eye for the goal. And to finish it off, we are going to have an advanced forward on attack on shoot more often. Nice and simple, in my opinion, the best role in the game when it comes to the striker area, because they always find lethal runs, they're always moving into channels, and they always put the ball in the back of the net. Over to the team instructions then, we're actually going to have a positive mentality, a fairly narrow attacking width, we're going to play out from the back, obviously we've got enough centre-backs to do so, a shorter passing directness, a slightly higher tempo, and also work ball into the box. Now the reason why we've not opted to have run at defence or be more expressive on is because, as you can imagine, as you've probably seen already, this tactic is very attacking naturally. We've got a lot of players getting forward, so telling them to run at the defence is going to be way too much, and we don't want them being more expressive because that is what happens in the attacking variant. So for this default one, leave it nice and simple. In transition, we're going to have counter press and counter. We do want to have that press and style. Obviously, that is what we were about. And when we do have the ball, I'm happy for these players to counter. We don't want to literally let everyone run at the back line, but having the front three, the striker, and both fullbacks get forward is completely fine, because obviously you've got 3 centre-backs and 2 midfield players that aren't going to get that much involved, which still is a very good thing because it means we're not going to get countered on ourselves when we're the ones trying to do the counter-attack. We're going to distribute to the centre-backs while taking short goal kicks. You could also roll it out depending on your preference. I've personally just always opted for taking the short goal kicks. And out of possession, we're going to have the higher defensive line, the high press and line of engagement, much more often on the trigger press, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and also trap outside. Now, yes, this tactic is quite high pressing, and I know some of you guys haven't always got the squads that can hack it, so I will say this right now, you could tone down this trigger press by 1. It's probably not needed to be maxed out. It does get great results, don't get me wrong, but if you're halfway through a season, your players are getting really tired, you could tone that down a little bit, probably for the tempo as well, but just be aware, the more tweaks you make, the sort of different results you're going to see, but you have, essentially, you've got to build a tactic that suits your team, so you can download this one and mould it to your team. So some things are going to change, but honestly, I tested with 6 teams, all from different places in the world, some powerhouses, some mid-table, some underdogs, and it worked for everyone. We are now going to go over the attacking and defensive variants, but I want to thank all of the names coming down the screen right now. These are going to be all of the new or existing Patreon members. Patreon is a great way to support me as a creator, and also you get some great perks yourself, including access to all 3 of these wonderful files in one simple download. You get early tactic and video release, you get priority in your tactic and rebuild requests, one-on-one tactical help, and also access to the exclusive Patreon giveaway. So do check it out. The link is going to be in the description, but let's go ahead and talk tactics. So kicking off then with the team instructions for the attacking variant, we're going to have an attacking mentality. Obviously that does get progressed up by 1 pretty much in possession, still fairly narrow, still playing out from the back, still shorter passing directness, but now we have maxed out the tempo to higher. Work ball into the box is going to remain on, but we've actually now also added be more expressive, and that is exactly why we did not have it on in the default version, because I feel like if you want to go more attacking, it's always good to have some things you can add to what you're already doing, and that's exactly what this tactic done. And here was a game which we played using this. Yeah, a very comfortable 10-0 win against Nice, and like I said, I decided to use this tactic for this game because this is where you should be using the tactic. Against when you're playing as a powerhouse or when you're playing as any team, if you are playing a team which you should be beating quite comfortably, you can have a lot of fun, and that's exactly what we've done. You can see how the goals are getting created now. They get created from all over the field, as Hakimi actually there goes completely rogue from the right hand side and finishes it off himself. But this is a perfect example of when you should be using this attack and tactic. When you are going in against teams you should be beaten quite comfortably, or another scenario would be when you are going in and possibly you're a goal down on aggregate, or say you start a game, you go a goal down, it's still 1-0 in like the 80th minute, you're desperate for a goal, this is when you want to switch to it, because this tactic on attacking is a new beast. Probably one of the best attack and tactics I've seen in FM, to be honest, when it comes to actually using this attack and variant. Chances get created from all over the field, and we absolutely dominated Nice. In transition, we're going to have the counter press, counter, distribute quickly, distribute to the centre-backs, and take in short goal kicks. So again, the only thing that really changes here is going to be distribute them quickly, getting the ball up the field as quick as we can, because obviously we are now desperate to get back into a game. And out of possession, we're still going to have the higher line, still the high pressing line, much more often, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and the only addition is going to be get stuck in, and obviously this much more often as well. But get stuck in is a great instruction that makes your team a lot more aggressive. Yes, you might pick up the odd booking here and there, but if you are trying to get back into a game and make things more aggressive by winning the ball back, you have to be willing to take the odd yellow card. Now, in terms of the player roles, guys, it's going to be quite short, because the only two changes I made, because it already is a very attacking tactic, is going to be we actually move the two centre mids up a little bit in the midfield. We have a box-to-box midfielder on support, on get further forwards, move into channels, and also tackle harder. That was going to be the Yagate, who you saw get involved a lot in that previous game, and a deep line playmaker is going to be on support on the default. Now, pushing these two midfield players up makes all the difference. It really pushes the whole team up naturally, so I would recommend you following this along and deploying the exact same. Now, over to the defensive variant, then it is going to be a balanced mentality, a fairly narrow attack and width, pass into space, play out of defense, standard on the passing directness, a slightly lower tempo. Yeah, there's a lot of changes in this one. We're going to talk about that first. So this is now a tactic which is more about sort of easing off a little bit and going a little bit, to be honest, a little bit more direct. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it is good to switch up styles. It tricks the AI, and having that little change in style can make all the difference. Time wasting going to be set to frequently. Obviously, we're trying to really run the clock down now. Play for set pieces and also work ball into the box. In transition, we're going to have a regroup, slow pace down, distribute to the centre backs, and also take short goal kicks. So there are some changes here. We're actually going to opt to regroup now instead of going out on the press. We're going to do nothing when possession has been won. We're going to slow the pace down when we obviously have the ball with the goalkeeper. Still playing it to the centre backs, because why not? We have three of them. Out of possession, we now actually have the standard defensive line, the mid-block line of engagement, much more often, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. And don't feel like this now means you're not going to score any goals, because I'm going to show you a game now. It was actually, I believe, the French Cup final where I went 1-0 up very early on, and I decided to deploy this against Monaco. So this is going to be a perfect example then. So I actually went 1-0 up inside of 30 minutes in this French Cup final. It's going to be a great goal actually from Hakimi, and it is going to actually be the new man who comes in and finishes it off. But it got to this point here, and to be honest, I switched it around about 60 minutes in. I was like, do you know what? The game's looking quite iffy now. Like, I mean, we're not really dominating. Monaco are getting some chances. Let's just change how things operate. So I went to the defensive tactic, and you can see now we still actually went out and managed to score quite a few goals, because, well, 2 more goals, because there are still quite a few players actually getting involved. And it's a great defensive tactic, but as you can see from this scenario here, there are players to pass to. You can see here the goal went in, but it's what I like about this. We've actually got several players that are, Hakimi's still here. We've got several players that are ready to pick up any loose balls or literally run back and defend. And it's the perfect mixture between doing both. Still can get goals, but also very defensively solid. And we obviously get one last goal here in the 85th minute through to Icardi. Great touch, a little bit lucky with the finish, but we're going to take it. Now, in terms of the actual player instructions, yes, there are going to be some changes. You can probably see them already. So the first change is going to be the inverted winger goes on support on the left-hand side on simply sit narrower. Exactly the same for the right-hand side as well. In terms of the back line, it actually remains exactly the same. Even the wing-backs do remain the same. But the two changes are going to be, obviously, the midfield players drop back to the original position in the real deep pockets, where we actually opt for a DM on defend, on tackle harder, and also a deep line playmaker on defend, on more direct passes, and tackle harder. So this is what I was on about. This player specifically is told to go more direct, and that's the sort of approach we're going to be taking now, because we are trying to be more of a sit-back team, hit not necessarily on a counter, but just pretty much go long when there is an opportunity to do so. But they are going to give you 3 absolutely incredible 3-4-3 tactics. You need to stick around to see the results, because it shocked me. It's going to be a French League title with PSG. He also did win the Champions League final in a very dramatic 2-2 draw, which we won 5-3 on penalties. A 3-0 win in the Coupe de France, which we did watch obviously in the highlights against Monaco. An 8-0 win against Toulouse in the Trophée des Champions, quite a comfortable final, and a data hub consisted of 4.15 goals per game, a conceded of 0.29, just over 27 shots a game, an 88% pass completion, and just over a 73% tackle win ratio. It's going to be a Premier League title with Liverpool as well, with McAllister and Salah picking up 26 and 25 goals. A 2-1 win against Atalanta in the Europa League final, which actually did go to extra time, where it is going to be Harvey Elliott picking up the match winner. A 2-0 win over Manchester City in the FA Cup, and a 3-0 win against Arsenal in the last cup, which was going to make it a quadruple against Arsenal. The Carabao Cup is ours. In terms of the data hub, a little bit less than PSG, to be expected in the Premier League. 2.92 goals per game, a conceded of 0.63, just over 24 shots a game, an 87.8 pass completion, and a 75 tackle win ratio, so still some really good stats. Over to Portugal now, where we actually win a very comfortable Portuguese league title with Sporting. We also win the Taça de Portugal against, I can't even say the name, but a very comfortable 6-0 win, and also picking up the Allianz Cup against Rio Ave in a very comfortable 3-0 win. Across the season, over 4 goals a game, 4.03, conceded of 0.41, shots per game just over 26, a pass completion of 88.54, and a tackle win ratio pretty much bang on 76%. Over now to the Bundesliga 2 with Schalke, a team predicted to finish, I believe, in second. We've actually come out and absolutely thumped it, going invincible, 31 wins, 3 draws, 0 losses, an incredible season. But we managed to score 3.91 goals a game, conceded only 0.44. Every single test, by the way, has been easily under 1 goal a game, proven you can still have a defensively solid tactic even with a 3 at the back system. Just over 22 shots a game, a pass completion of 88.16, and a tackle win ratio this close to being 75%. Then go over to a team predicted to finish 12th in the Serie B. That is going to be Modena, and we have come out and absolutely destroyed it. 30 wins, 3 draws, only 5 losses, 93 points in the tally. An absolute incredible season. With 2.61 goals a game, 0.66 conceded, just over 19 shots a game as well, a pass completion of 87.77, and a tackle win ratio of 76.42. Now lastly, over to a team that are predicted to finish in 22nd, rock bottom of the Liga Smart Bank, and we have come out and completely transformed that result, finishing first with 99 points. Now it's not flawless, it's 32 wins, 3 draws, and we did pick up 7 losses in this time, but we still finished first in the division, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Scoring 2.71 goals a game, conceded of 0.86, which is the highest by quite some distance, but we are literally a team predicted to finish rock bottom. So for that to be under a goal a game is still really impressive. Just over 19 shots a game, a pass completion of 84.52, and a tackle win ratio of 75.7. That is going to be my ultimate 3-4-3 broken down, tested with 6 very different teams, getting good results with every single one. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this tactic, and while you're there, please do consider leaving a like on the video, dropping a little subscription on the channel, but enjoy the rest of your day, and next week is going to be an action-packed one, as we have 7 videos coming your way, so I'll see you then.